Hello, all. Welcome to yet another day at Up Front with Frank Rothstein on Sky's Crescent Radio. That's SKYES, crescentradio.com. And we have a lot to talk about today. Good thing the show is called Up Front because I'm going to be a little more upfrontier than usual. Sitting with me somewhere else, but somehow seemingly 2 feet away, is, of course, the woman who's today clad in green, blinding us from her green screen. It is Jade Zabrick. Jade is wearing a very attractive white pair of headphones today, wired to her Apple phone. It goes well with the green shirt, gives a nice appeal. And she has looks like an exercise ball behind her. I'm just talking about the stuff in Jade's office. Lots of buttons, a few books. What else we got there? A door with a knob and things of that nature. Oh, cool. Well, unfortunately, my last show missed everything happening by a day because, like I say, I don't have a news service and I'm not on daily. Otherwise, I would have. Otherwise, if we were sitting together, we would have just popped onto the air right away as news was breaking. So, in a way, we're a week behind, but with all that goes on, we are right up to date. And as we all know, there was a lot going on in Washington throughout the whole week. You saw all the people, all the cast of characters in the Looney Tunes that were breaking into our Capitol building. Well, we swapped out Elmer Fudd for wait, what is this? What is this guy's name again? Let me get to that guy's name again. Richard Watt. What's his name again? The guy sitting behind Nancy Pelosi's desk. Richard Barnett. This is my favorite guy. Why? Because he sat there with his drawl, his southern drawl, telling us how Nancy Pelosi is this and that, how he left her a quarter for taking a letter off her desk and an envelope, putting his foot up on her desk while thinking he did something great, then claiming that the crowd pushed him in. They pushed him in so far they threw him into her chair and made him put his foot up on her desk and smile for a picture. However, what Mr. Barnett didn't realize at the time, everything that happened at the Capitol building is a federal offense. This isn't a local offense. You're not getting let out of jail. You're not getting a little $100 bond and walking home because you were drunk. No, this is troubles. And he has all kinds of federal charges racked up. They got him. They also got that guy with the horns on his head. The guy with that's nothing says important. We're going to change the world like wearing a half-fast Viking costume, then using an American flag as your weapon and marching in there. And now complaining that he cannot eat while in prison because he eats only organic foods. So I'm not sure if it's a hunger strike, but I don't care if he starves to death. What happened to me is just it's insanity. That there was a son of a Brooklyn federal judge. If he thinks that his father can get him off real easy because he's the son of a judge, he may want to think again. Because everyone who walked into that building committed a federal crime. No one is saying that you do not get to go and march, protest, give a speech, tell everybody what you got to say. That's the idea. It's one of the big things about America, telling everyone what you have to say. But somehow, walking around the grounds, yelling to hang the Vice President of the United States may not be under your free speech. Now, there's a lot of other stories going along since we're talking about First Amendment and any communication. And Jade, if you have a thought anywhere, feel free to chime in as always. Let me read this over here. This is because, as we all know, I'm going to be hopping back and forth because there's really too many stories in my file to cover them one by one. So as we all know, I'm given to hopping back and forth at times. I don't know if it's good or not, but it's what happens with me. Section 230. Where's my page? Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And that is from what, 1996? Yeah. This is a big section. Who knew? Pretty much it's short. It says no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. That means Skies Crescent Radio is not the publisher of anything I say or do out here. It's a privately held company. It's just what it is. They're not liable for me. They're not there. And what's happening is, if anyone's been paying attention, the social media app Parler, P-A-R-L-E-R, has been taken down by the major service providers. That means Google, Apple, and Amazon. I didn't even know they were all on Amazon. I got hair in my eye. But yeah, they were removed from all those sites. And this is where people say, my First Amendment rights, I have freedom of speech, I have freedom, I can say whatever I want. To an extent, yeah. You know, there's an old cliche, it's a cliche example, but we've all heard it before. Just because you have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, does not mean you can run into a crowded movie theater and yell fire. It's just, that's always been the example I heard. You cannot sit there and simply cause a panic, which is why we're having, well, I'll get into Donald Trump in a couple of seconds. But in the terms of Parler, which is a right-wing conservative, me using the term right-wing, I never did that before, but here we go. Where everyone is supportive of our president, I think that's great. Be supportive of anyone you want. Calling for death, calling for crime, calling for whatever they can call for, does not mean that even though the owner of the app is okay with it, doesn't mean that the service providers have to be content with letting it go through their service. Which is why, to begin with, Twitter and Facebook blocked our president. He is no longer able to tweet. He's no longer able to post on Facebook, which I didn't know that he did that too often anyway, but he's no longer able to do that. I don't see him using his Instagram account or going through Ivanka's Instagram account or the White House Instagram account. He tried it under the POTUS, President of the United States, Twitter account, but that was quickly taken care of. And he is somehow, everyone says he's a man without a platform. Well, that's not quite true. And that's because he's the president. And if I remember it correctly, he has a newsroom. That's where the communications speak. That's where you see Kayleigh McEnany talking to the press every day, giving one story or another. There's a room designated for this. He's the president. He could speak from the Oval Office. He can do a lot of things, but he's not doing it. Because if he gets in front of the press, they will torture him with legitimate questions, which he does not want. And that is what's going on with him right now. He's sort of stuck. So now we have what? A government looking to get the 25th Amendment, and throw him out, which, well, Mike Pence, I don't know that he'll go along with it. They'll try impeaching him. I'm not so sure that would do any good because he's leaving in a week anyway. And I don't know that they can stop him from running for office in the future, but it'll be a different world. It will be a different world in 4 years. A lot of the people who voted for him now, they'll be gone, whether it's through age or other reasons. There are more people who will be turning 18 or more by the time the next election comes up. It will be a vastly different world. And unfortunately, not that I'm against punting his ass out of the White House, but I don't know if there's time to do it. And as far as his whine that he's not going to the inauguration, well, who cares? They don't need him. Even the football, what we know as the nuclear football that has to stay with the president at all times, stays with him till Joe Biden is sworn in, which, if I'm correct, happens actually in private. And then they do it again outside on the Capitol building steps or wherever they do it. Yeah. And then there's another football. So they can use that one. Don can keep the old one. It'll be useless anyway. He can have that nice leather bag that I always wanted. I like that bag that it comes in. I want it. It's a nice piece of leather. But yeah, this is it's a mess that may not be punishable unless there's actually a charge against him. And I've heard that he's thinking about trying to pardon himself again. I'm not quite sure how that works. The reason being is even if you're allowed to pardon yourself, and it takes effect, say, today's the 12th. It takes effect tomorrow on the 13th at midnight. So in a few hours, he would be pardoned of everything today. But what happens tomorrow? He's not charged with anything yet. What are you going to pardon yourself for? To tell everyone that you cannot punish me for something you haven't. Again, I haven't been arrested. I'm not. He hasn't been arrested. He hasn't been thrown out. He's not impeached. He's just an ass with power. And what could he pardon himself for, or his family? Nobody has been legally accused of anything yet. So that could be an issue. I don't know if he's even allowed to do it. But okay, we'll see what happens with that. But I'm watching all these stories, and there's really too many to talk about. I know as of now, there have been over 50 cops that were injured. But even after the first one died, I didn't see Donald Trump saying a word, not one word about this man who died while trying to protect the Capitol. He hasn't commented on the one security officer who really is being described as the hero of the day, as he led so many protesters away from the safe room where all the senators and the congressmen, or as they call it, the lawmakers, were being held. This guy was great. He was baiting everybody. He was letting them chase him upstairs. He had something on his radio. He went one way when he knew the senators were in the other direction, led them all into a room with some other cops waiting, and they got a handful. He saved, I don't know how many were in that room, but he's an officer who did his job. And if you notice, I'm not really naming anyone's name because it's just part of one big event. Inside of that chamber where everybody was being held, I'm reading today on NBC News, a third lawmaker tests positive for COVID after the Capitol lockdown. Yeah, they were all in there. Some people were trying to hand out masks. A lot of them refused to wear it. So now people are catching this thing. Well, what else is new? Whether it's this event or someone's birthday party. You put 30 or 40 people in a room. Many of them don't want to wear a mask. Now people are getting sick. Hopefully they got each other sick and not the people with the masks. But that's what's going on. That is what's going on. Tomorrow, Wednesday. Where's my other page? Second Amendment. There's supposed to be a gathering at every, a march, a protest, call it what you want, at every state capital. I'm taking that to mean outside of where every governor works, unless they have another definition in mind. Because what's the use of bringing all the armed people to a mall to hang out? So they're going to the state capitol, I'm assuming, where either the state law is made, or, well, I guess every state has one of those, and that's what they're planning. Second Amendment. This is an interesting amendment, one of my favorites, because it's so small in writing, and it says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, and shall not be infringed. That's it. That's it. That's how it was written when it was originally written. Now, that's true. There have been cases and there have been a few adjustments. Now people can carry arms and carry open carry permits. There are states that have open carrying for a gun. You see all these guys, or all these idiots walking around with a big rifle strapped around their back while they're going food shopping. This does not give you the right to march to the state capitol building and have a protest while armed. Someone's going to have to shoot something. Hard for me to believe that it's going to be 50 buildings, 50 groups of people. Now, again, no one said there's going to be 5,000 or 10,000 people at every gathering. Not likely, but you can have 5. It's just a gathering. It's a matter of language, not to be literal and not to be taken by example of the other day, but there could be 5, 12, whatever they get together in whatever state they're going to. But yes, there could be a bunch of people but somehow I get the impression, somehow I get this idea that every capital with enough days' notice as they've had will be more than prepared. They will be more than prepared this time. And hopefully in every state, things do not get messy. I know people who have their rifle, their AR-15. You can't take away my gun, my AR-15. Well, if the government took away your AR-15 today, someone will create an AR-16 tomorrow, and you'll have your gun back. But I hope it does not get messy, because even the Second Amendment with your well-armed, well-organized militia is really no match for when the Army comes. When the Marines come, when the National Guard, well-armed as they are, they know what they're doing. This is what they're trained for. Even though everyone hopes for peace, you train for battle. And I hope it does not get that kind of serious, because it will not end well for the civilian militia. And no, again, you do not have the right to go to the Capitol building, rifles, guns, machine guns in hand, threatening this, that, or another thing, if Donald Trump does not remain in office. Plus, then again, what is your plan 4 years from now, when even if he won, he'd have to get out anyway? It doesn't make a difference. Even if you gave him 4 more years, he'd have to get out anyway. So it wouldn't be Joe Biden, it would be somebody else. Because next time around, it would have been an open election. Anyone can get in. Usually, as we all know, when there's a president looking for a second term, usually happens, the party of the president normally sends 1 or 2, maybe 2 token opponents to keep it looking legitimate, because he can't run exactly unopposed. So they throw in somebody early who gets no votes, no delegates, no nothing in any state. Then he resigns, and the president has a clear path to go to do what he has to do. So we will see what happens in 4 years. We'll see what happens on Inauguration Day, because that's going to get iffy, and security is up. But again, we will see what happens. And I know I'm leaving out a lot of material here, because I stored up so many stories on my Facebook page. I wouldn't even know where to begin with all this stuff. Today, Donald Trump was talking on the news, and I don't like that word, remorse. I never liked that word, but he has no regret or no caring that he called for all this action last week. But today he sort of said he did nothing wrong. He called for peace a week ago, like when he thought he had to, but pretty much says he did nothing wrong. Even though people died, because they all listened to him. You heard guy with the horns on his head, man, whatever his character was supposed to be, said, you heard it on the news, I listened to the president gave an order and I followed. That's what he said, pretty much. He said it. And this is what's been going on. And it's 5:30. Look at all this time I'm trying to one story. Jade, do you have any thoughts on this subject? Jade is overcome with emotion on this one. She's looking at me and saying, "Are you crazy? I don't want to talk about this. I don't want this." So, but that is what's going on. I mean, yes, I'm not getting into too many crazy details. But again, quickly, back to the part of the social media app. I am not for censorship. Anybody who knows what my living was, what I do, the things I do, I'm out here talking to you. I don't like censorship. I never did. I don't like it. I don't even like it when I do a comment on someone's Facebook thing and it gets taken off if they don't like what I said. I don't like censorship. But I do understand why the president, who has has a following of millions, telling them to march upon the Capitol building, to storm with his sidekick, his trusty sidekick, Nutjob, telling telling everybody else either will be proven wrong and look like fools, or will win and will be decided by combat. This is not what you're supposed to be echoing. This is not a good idea. Rudy, go home, man. Both of you, just go home. Go live out the rest of your miserable lives somewhere else, whether it's on a golf course, join a bowling league, do whatever, read a good book, go tropical, live on the beach for the rest of your life. Go, just go away. That is the best thing. That really is the best for all. Damage has been done. Let these two go riding off hand in hand into the sunset somewhere, or to the storm cloud, even better, and let them go find somewhere quiet to live out the rest of their lives, because I can't imagine anywhere wanting them as neighbors. So anyway, we have a lot of other stories to talk about. Oh my, it does get dumb from here on in. Let's play a song in the meantime, because all my talking, I'm sort of thirsty, and I want to get something to drink. Anybody want anything while I'm here? I have coffee, I have iced tea, I have water. Pretty sure there's a couple of beer in my refrigerator. I'll get you anything you want. While you're thinking about it, let's listen to a piece of music. One of my favorites, John Fogerty, just released a new song, and pretty much in his own way reflecting what has been going on in this country. So, as of recent, this is John Fogerty with Weeping in the Promised Land.
Water in the well been poisoned with lime, weeping in the promised land. Satan's dark angels are falling from the sky, weeping in the promised land. Children of God, he turns into stone, sick and the weak, he dancing on the bone. Pharaoh shouting down the medicine man, weeping in the promised land. Fucking told Pharaoh, behold, he comes to speak, weeping in the promised land. Hissing and spewing, it's power that he seeks, weeping in the promised land. With dread in their eyes, all the nurses are crying. So much sorrow, so much dying. Pharaoh keep a preaching, but he never had a plan. Weeping in the promised land, weeping in the promised land. I said, weeping, weeping, weeping in the promised land. You said, weeping, weeping, weeping in the promised land. Knocking on the door, weeping in the promised land. Shoot you in your bed just like they done before, weeping in the promised land. Out in the street on your neck with a knee, all the people are crying your last words, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. And what judge say there been no crime here today? Weeping in the promised land. Weeping in the promised land. I said weeping, weeping, weeping in the promised land. I said weeping, weeping, weeping in the promised land. We're weeping, weeping, weeping in the promised land. Yeah, weeping, weeping, weeping in the promised land.
John Fogerty does not have bad songs. I've looked at his songbook. I've heard so many of them. I'm convinced the man doesn't know how to write a bad song. So that would take real effort on his part, and that is Weeping in the Promised Land. Before we get rid of this president and his storyline, there is an article that says Trump, like a question, Trump, a Twitter rival? After the ban, the president says he's in talks with other platforms or may launch his own. He could do that. He can do that. He was already discussing opening his own news service on the internet, which is a lot cheaper than opening up one on, say, cable. One, like I've said a million times, with any subject, any kind of business, the internet will destroy anything it touches. So now, yes, all you need to do is open a website and find a service. And I can't believe the podcast services, one of them won't take them because the ratings he'll bring in. And what's going to happen? I'm sure they'll start off with a splash. He'll be opening his mouth and welcoming everybody and talking about whatever he has to talk about. But that is a distinct possibility. As you won't be doing a tweet, you'll be doing a Trump. You'll be trumpeting all over the place. You'll be trumpeting or trumping. Yeah, that could very well happen. What name they call it, I don't know, but pretty much it is a distinct possibility. One I will not be joining. Good luck with all of that. Okay, what else is going on in the world today? Oh, let's talk this one over. Well, okay, wait. I know I said I'm done with talking about the president. There's one more. This isn't even him directly. I can't even blame him for this. I'm reading a story that a manatee, the sea creature, the manatee is it says a manatee was found with the word Trump scrawled into its back in a Florida swimming hole, prompting the investigation from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. A defenseless animal was spotted with the political inscription over the weekend in the Blue Hole headwaters of the Hermosa River in Citrus County, Florida. That's about 80 miles northwest of Orlando. Yes, it's what does it say? It's a federal crime that has carried a $50,000 fine or a year in federal prison. I don't care about that. I want to know what kind of a sick fuck would do that to a harmless animal. Whether they use a knife or some other instrument to do it, to sit there and do that to a defenseless animal of any kind, land or sea, and sit there and just scar it up like that and torture it like that. They couldn't. I don't know how a manatee feels, how it reacts to physical pain, but this could not have been an easy thing for it. I mean, this is a big creature and it has big letters on it. And why would anybody want to mutilate an animal that way? It has no bearing on anything, any cause you could stand for, anybody you could support. It has no bearing on it. And just to torture an animal like that, to me, is unforgivable. So if they catch him, I don't care about the $50,000 or the year in jail. I want to scroll something into their back. I want to take something in and just etch it in there forever as well. And I want to hear them scream as it happens. People suck. What else is going on in the world? Let's see if we can get on a lighter note somehow. Now I'm sure I'll probably hop back to the present in a little while. You remember a few months ago I was talking about the guy who married his sex doll? Yeah, look at that segue. You remember a few months ago, a man who married his sex doll. Okay. Now, this was a high-quality doll, leather, latex, whatever the hell it is, latex doll. But something happened, and it became damaged. So Yuri Tolochko from Kazakhstan, sent out the Silicon Love Margot in November. That's when he got it, but just days before Christmas, she had to go into the sex doll doctor to be repaired. Well, unfortunately, Yuri couldn't be loyal to his doll, to his wife. And you see him on video doing who the hell knows what to some silvery looking thing that looks like a bucket with studs. I don't know what he's doing, but he cheated on a love doll. Oh man, it gets better every day. I'm telling you, it gets better every day for me. All the stupidity in the world. I don't know how you do it, but he was so loyal that he didn't want to date a human. He wanted the doll, and the second the doll goes to the doctor, damn, that's the equivalent of cheating on somebody while they're in the hospital. I told you, people are low. They're sick. They're stupid. One of the nicest stories this week, I found this on NBC New York. A doctor wipes out $650,000 in bills for cancer patients. Says he feels blessed to do it. Dr. Omar Atiq made the announcement in holiday cards mailed to his patients in December. 200 people who were treated for cancer at Pine Bluff, Arkansas clinic opened a holiday card to find out that their medical bills forgiven. And yeah, about $650,000 in all. Good for Dr. Atiq. That's pretty good. You don't hear about these things too often. Normally you hear about these stupid things I read about, or worse, that you see on the news itself. But that is a big thing, especially since so many people are not working. It is hard out there. It's difficult. And medical expenses, there hasn't been too much relief. So good for Dr. Atiq. He did what we call in the Jewish religion, he did a mitzvah, which is pretty much one of the most important things you can do. What else is going on? A lot of things are going on. People are sick. Okay, so what happened now? We haven't had any more PC stuff anymore. The movie Grease. John Travolta, Olivia Newton-John, set in the 50s, going to Rydell High. Says Grease is being slammed as racist, rapey, and homophobic and slut-shaming. This was from January 4th. There you go, Grease, with all that great music in it. Says, yikes, definitely didn't see this coming at all. Apparently, the 1970s musical Grease is now under fire after it was screened by the BBC, during Boxing Day, which caused several to reevaluate the romantic comedy. 42 years after it came out. It was a huge hit. It was a huge hit. It doesn't seem, the classic doesn't appear to be aging quite well, with several critics calling it misogynistic and rapey. Okay, all right, here we go. Do I have to do this again? Rapey. It's dumb. It's a movie. It's a good movie. Has great music in it. That's where You're the One That I Want comes from. That's where Summer Night, all the good songs that came out of there. There's nothing rapey about it. It takes place where they're supposed to be high school kids. It was made in 1979, before everybody became not just sensitive, but overly sensitive to every little thing that you can imagine. And this movie now, well, the reviewers now are much younger, and they were raised different, and now pretty much everyone almost lives in a sterile bubble. We're all just Friends. We're all just friends. That's it. Nothing happens. We're all just friends. Everyone hangs out. Occasionally we'll hook up. But no, this is not a rapey, misogynistic, homophobic. It's about a bunch of kids in high school. Kids in high school say and do stupid things. There's no crime being committed in this movie. Actually, at the end of any scene they can be describing, nothing really happens to anybody. Matter of fact, as far as John Travolta, if you remember seeing him in Saturday Night Fever, there was that scene near the end, just before the scene on the Brooklyn Bridge, where their friend jumped or fell. They had just won. He and his dance partner just won the dance contest. John Travolta's character, I forgot what it is, was really upset about everything going on around him. And he has his partner, and they get in the back seat of the car, and now he's trying. And yes, he was trying hard with this girl in the back seat. He has now gotten on top of her. But nothing happened because it was handled well. Like, she gave him a knee to the testicular. She threw a knee into him right away and got out of the car. Nothing happened. These are all well-made movies. Nothing happened. Nothing happened in Greece, except one girl dyed her hair pink. Then they're upset that Olivia Newton-John as Sandy changed herself to please Danny Zuko, where she put on the, not leather pants, but whatever whatever those are, with the black shirt and the heels, and she looked good before they start singing "You're the One That I Want." So she changed herself for him. Okay, that should be the worst thing anybody did. But okay, leave Greece alone. The world has enough things going on that people should have enough to worry about, where they don't need to worry about a movie from, say, 40 years ago. 41 years ago. It's enough. To me, it's enough. I like the movie. I have a cousin who worships the movie because it's John Travolta. I mean, he could be sitting there, he could be sitting in the bathroom. She'll go crazy and love him. But it's just, Grease was a great play. It's actually a very uncomplicated set. It's just Grease. To me, there's too much of this. Let's review a movie from a who knows when, talking about who knows what, that I wasn't around for yet, and let's go and make it a big deal. Sorry, that does not work for me. It never did. It never will. Don't get me started on what we were talking about a couple of years ago in the studio about Bowling Green State University and the Gish Theater. You know how I feel about that, about the PC police. What is it, 5:40? We got lots to do. Let's play another song. Well, I keep following on her YouTube channel. One of the people I have some of the most deepest respect for her career, because she's worked that hard at it and really kept going for I think 12 years on YouTube. Anyway, along the way, she met her guitarist friend. They're doing some great work. Unfortunately, like everyone else, COVID took away their touring career for a while, but they're still at home doing stuff. So along with Tony Lindgren, this is Reina Del Cid covering the Jerry Garcia song, Deal.
It's going to pop on me?
Like a champagne bottle?
Looks like
I've never seen a champagne Belgian.
I was joking. I didn't think I was actually going to do it.
Wow, that scared the shit.
Since it costs a lot to win and even more to lose, you and me better spend some time wondering what to choose. goes to show you don't ever know. Watch each card you play them slow. Wait until that deal go down. Don't you let that deal go down, oh no. Now I've been gambling hereabouts for 10 good solid years. And if I told you all that went down, it would burn off both of your ears. It goes to show you don't ever know. Watch each card you play them slow. Wait until that deal go down. Don't you let that deal go down, oh no. Since you poured the wine for me and tightened up my shoes, I hate to leave you sitting there composing loads and blues. It goes to show you don't ever know. Watch each card you play and play 'em slow. Wait until that deal come round. Don't you let that deal go down. Wait until that deal come round. Don't you let that deal go down. 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 No, no.
Happy
There
Sunday
you
morning.
go. That was Ringa Del Cid and Tony Lindgren. I'm a big fan of Tony Lindgren. She's excellent. She's a brilliant musician, and she's getting better all the time. There's a lot else. This is one story that I don't know. I'm pretty easy-minded. I'm open-minded to a lot of things. I know that I grew up in America, so everybody from different countries has their own set of values and how they think about things. But here in Denmark, a children's TV show about a man with an uncontrollable giant penis has launched on television. And I am not kidding about this. This looks like a claymation series. And pretty much they've given him a big unit. It looks like a lanyard, which can reach out about 15 feet. And the picture I'm seeing of it looks like he's grabbing some lighter fluid and pouring it over a barbecue. I mean, and he's supposed to be a hero that can save people with it. And the first 13 episodes are aired by the public broadcaster DR. And that started on January 2nd. Tells how the character's uncontrollable, I quote, uncontrollable diller, Danish slang for penis, often gets him into trouble. I could see that. But it can also be a force for good. And he saves the day by rescuing babies, hoisting a flag, and using it to catch fish when he forgets his fishing rod. And according to DR, we think it's important to be able to tell stories about bodies. I agree. Tell stories about bodies. But make it believable, please. This looks like I say, this looks like a jump rope attached to a hip and whatever it grabs onto. Anyway, that's what's going on in Denmark. It says in this series, we recognize young children's growing curiosity about their bodies and genitals, and as well as embarrassment and the pleasure of the body. I agree. Kids want to know. I don't know that putting this on television is the way to go, but then again, I am not from Denmark. Sick people. Oh my. I tell you, the world's an interesting place. When we are not getting to the headlines, the world is an interesting place. What does it say? Well, let's see. A lot of musicians, before I forget, a lot of musicians are selling their songbooks. Neil Young has sold, I think, half the rights to his songbook. What was it, 150 million? Yeah, for 150 million. Yeah, I guess, they're not touring anymore. Someone's going to come out of this when it's all done. So he's cashing in, cashing out, cashing. David Hasselhoff is auctioning off his Knight Rider car. Remember Kit? The cool-looking car that could do almost anything? He's auctioning off his. There were a couple of them. And, of course, no, it cannot do all the things that you saw on television. But he's looking for $300,000 for it. If you're going to auction off the Kit cars, this one may get the money because it's his. It really is a 1982 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. It's described as a fully functional Kit car with full conversion car loaded in the UK. All right. But like I say, it doesn't quite do everything that the other car did. It can't. But it has all the lights on the dashboard and the console and looks to be in excellent shape. What the hell? Everyone's got to cash out somewhere. Yeah, I've got way too much stuff on the present on my page. I think I told you I didn't tell you last week. American Airlines, did I mention it, is banning emotional support animals on flights. Now, they're not barring service animals, like a seeing eye dog. That is a service animal. That's the classic look of a service animal. Someone who's blind, their dog is leading them. Because right now, everybody can just simply buy a license and say they're animals for emotional support. I don't believe it. I look at my friends' dogs. They hide behind me when they get scared. I don't know what emotional support is when it comes to that. I don't know what role they play if they look to me for protection. But there are dogs that are trained to sniff out, and they know when someone is going to have a seizure, like an epileptic. When they're about to have a seizure, the dog knows it often before the owner does, and they're trained to do certain things to help the matter along until the owner comes out of it, which is great. But sometimes, because you don't want to pay the fee and you want to bring your dog on, and if you're going to fly coach, that could be a little bit much. So that is going to be, a few airlines have put a ban on that, which I am not against. That's just, keep the service animals. The others, especially if they provide no service, they could ride they have to go ride in cargo or keep them home. Or better yet, take a road trip. Drive your dog across country. Anything else going on that I want to talk about here? Plenty of it, actually. The Grammy Awards has moved to March due to the pandemic. The second wave, the recent surge in cases. So yeah, the Grammy Awards are in March. If you like going to Macy's, well, New York may be okay, but Macy's is shutting down 45 more locations this year. And it's a 3-year store closure plan. That's really bad. This came from January 5th. This is an interesting one. This is a math problem. All right. DoorDash, the food delivery service. It says a DoorDash driver refused to give a Long Island customer his food after she felt stiffed by an $8 tip. The heated confrontation was recorded on a Ring doorbell camera. The camera that's mounted to your doorbell. And outside the home in Smithtown. Where is this happening? Smithtown, okay. Says, I don't think you realize the distance that it's coming from because you would never have actually have given what you gave. And she then explained to the male customer that she drove 40 minutes to deliver the order from the neighboring town in Comac. All right, it's local. Do you realize how far that is? Do you realize you ordered from Comac when you're in Smithtown? And the customer insisted that the job involved a 15 to 20 minute drive, which the woman denies. She says she felt she drove it. It's 40 minutes and 12 and a half miles. That means it's 40 minutes and 12 and a half miles back. So we got that now. Okay, she's 25 miles and a little over an hour round trip. Now, I don't know exactly what... she urged him to make it right by adjusting the tip and explained that he left $8 on the bill. Then responds with, what are you looking for? I gave you an $8 tip. Okay, I'm going to bring the food back. Okay, you got the idea. Okay. Now, I don't know what the order was. I really don't. It doesn't say what the actual bill was. He gave an $8 tip. All right. Now, every one of these drivers use a GPS system. They all know, if they don't recognize the address, they look it up. If they're not sure of how to get there, they look it up. So let's assume that the numbers are right, and this customer gave a 20% tip of $8, which means the check was $40 and he tipped $8. That's 20%. That's not bad. The driver's explaining that it's not enough because of what I've just described, what's involved. Well, there's not only the time involved, there's also the gas involved. So let's say a car gets decent gas mileage. Let's say she gets 15 miles to the gallon, 17 miles to the gallon. She now made a round trip drive. So she's over a gallon in. Well, how much of a tip is this guy supposed to leave? And it's not that I'm saying she's not good to get more. I'm wondering how much tip she thinks she should have gotten, because there's your time, there's the gas involved. Hopefully there's no traffic. And then there's also that the driver, whoever's delivering, has the right to reject the order, given what I've just described and what she just described. All that work. So somehow, I am under the impression that the driver is wrong. Probably, I don't know, who knows what the check was, and for all I know that the customer was cheap, but the driver knew what was involved and should have turned it down. That's, unless I'm wrong, and someone please tell me what the right number should have been, because it sounds so odd to me. And before I forget, if you want to tell me how much the driver should have, or how much the customer should have tipped, feel free to write me at upfrontfrank@gmail.com. There's a lot going on in the world, and I want to know what you think about it. upfrontfrank@gmail.com. And again, if you have any thoughts of doing this yourself, write to us. We would love to hear what your project is, what kind of a show you would like to do, what would you like to talk about. Write to us at Skies Crescent Radio, SKYES, Skies Crescent Radio @gmail.com, and somebody will get back to you in short order. And that is what I think. And we're almost done. And I'm pretty sure pretty sure that's, I'm just telling Jade something by scribbling on paper. Before I go and play the last song, what I should have said before, but I'll leave you with a last thought. You see this president, I'm sure he thinks he's doing a great job. And I guess everyone should think they're doing a great job. I don't fault him for that. I would have to ask everyone who follows him why. I was listening to his speech last week. In one breath, he said everyone should march. We're going to march down there. We're going to do this and we're going to do that. And in the next breath, a few hours later, he was saying anybody who protested, everyone who entered the building will be arrested. So pretty much he gave up everybody. Then he turned on his vice president. Then he just turned on everybody. And just by making the claim that first sending you down there, then saying you should be arrested, is pretty much giving up everybody. This man does not care about the people that he leads. Even if he did kinder things in his job, even if he did a better job, even if he kept every last promise, which even though I don't think he kept one, but okay, maybe I could be wrong. He does not care about the people he leads, and the people, his people, are fighting for him. And tomorrow, I am hoping it doesn't come down to it, but tomorrow, some more of his people may get killed. And right now in Congress, they're looking into the police, the fire personnel, the people in Congress that participated in all of this. And I don't hear your president, I don't hear our president standing up for anyone. None of you. No one. Give that some thought. You certainly wouldn't take it from a friend one-on-one. Why would anybody want to take it from this guy as a group? He will, I promise you, he would leave you all to die. And that's just the type of guy he is. He would feed on his own young. He may love Ivanka, he may love his kids, I don't know, but I'm sure if he had to, he would cash them in and sacrifice one. Yeah. I remember I was watching The Maltese Falcon the other day. A great movie. Really is a great movie. I suggest everybody watch it. There's a line at the end where one of the Casper Gutman, one of his henchmen, thugs, whatever you want to call them, his assistants, they have to give up somebody over the crime. They're going to give up this one guy who was played by the late actor Elijah Cook Jr. And he's looking at Casper Gutman. He says, I love you like you're my own son, but I can always have another son. And there's only one Maltese Falcon. And being the president is Donald Trump's Falcon, which, unfortunately, he would give all of you up. I am going to leave you with one more song. Everyone take some motion sickness pills starting tomorrow because a lot's going to be happening, as will next week. Everybody stay safe, wear a mask, do the right thing. Oh, and I want to make sure I let everyone know, friends of mine in California had a baby. Little Vidalia Jane was born last night at 9:57 p.m., all 19 inches, 6 pounds, 11 ounces of her. Welcome to the world. Congratulations to Cynthia and Devin. Start registering her for kindergarten now. Don't worry, she'll be driving soon. Stop plotting and scheming for that. And everybody, good luck out there to them, the family and all that. I'm going to leave you with, one second. See that? Even my phone kicks in. I'm going to leave you with a David Bowie song from 1973 from his album Hunky Dory. I wish everybody a good night as we play Changes. I'll see everybody next week. Good night.
And my time was running wild, a million dead-end streets, and every time I thought I got it made, it seemed the taste was not so sweet. So I turned myself to face me, but I've never caught a glimpse how the others must see the faker. I'm much too fast to take that test. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Don't wanna be a richer man. Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. It's gonna have to be a different man. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Yeah. sides, but never leave the stream of warm and permanent sand. So the days float through my eyes, but still the days seem the same. And these children that you spit on as they try to change their worlds are immune to your consultations. They're quite aware of what they're going through. Changes.